Okay. See, I'm now the host, so all right. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. It's good to see everybody. I'm just a bit of a throwback to Corona days. I'm meeting up on Zoom and not in person. Those that are able to turn on their cameras, it's much appreciated. Obviously, nobody has to. If you're sitting and eating dinner or whatever it is, and you don't want to turn on your camera, that's fine. But it's always nicer talking to people's faces rather than black boxes. So anybody who's able to turn on their screen, we can see each other. That would be wonderful. The purpose of getting together this evening, and as we announced, we'll be doing this every week, same time, same place, Sunday nights at 7:30 for as long as is required. As long as the situation is the way it is, we'll get together. Really, we had this idea based on something we used to do in Corona days, just a chance for everybody to meet up, everybody to be together, see one another. A lot of people are anxious and are worried at these times. That is very understandable. We will daven together. We'll say a few Pirkei Tehillim. I'll offer some words of Chizuk and share a few ideas. What I hope to do in future as well is to have guest speakers coming on in the slot. So we'll have different people that will be coming on and sharing ideas with us as well. And at the end, I'm happy to open it up to the floor. If anybody has anything they want to say or they want to share, this is a good time to do that. Feel free. As I said on Shabbat, this is a time lechazek ulehitchazek. To give each other chizuk and receive chizuk ourselves from being together and from sharing from our common experiences. So that's so more or less the plan for this evening. Like I said, we'll start off with some tefillah, followed by I just want to share a few, just talk about some of the initiatives we've already shared. But a lot of people, one of the things that causes us to feel very anxious is a sense maybe of hopelessness sometimes. What can we do to affect the situation? And I think there are a few things that we can do. So I want to just discuss those. Share a few ideas with you, and then, as I said, we'll open the floor. So the first thing we'll do, we'll say two Pirkei Tehillim. Based on past experience, it doesn't work so well on Zoom when everybody tries to put their mic on together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute everybody. I will say the Pirkei Tehillim. You're welcome to say them along with me. I'm not going to wait for you to repeat them. I'll just say them, and we'll all say them together. And then I'll say the Mishaberachs, and we'll continue. I'm going to put it up on screen so that everybody can see. Hopefully it will work. So we will say the two prakim which we've been saying really every day after mincha, after shachrit and mincha, Tehillim kuf kaf aleph, followed by Tehillim kuf lamed, and followed by the three mishaberachs that we've been saying. So we'll begin. Shir lamalot esainai le'alim, ayin yavo ezli. Izli mi'im Adonai, Oseh shamayim va'aretz, al yiten lamot raglecha, al yanum shomlecha, hinei lo yanum velo yishan, shomer Yisrael, Adonai shomlecha, Adonai tzilcha, al yad yaminecha, yomam hashemesh lo yakeka, ve'yaleach balayla, Adonai yishmorcha mikol ra, yishmor et nafshecha. Adonai yishmor tzedcha voecha, me'ata ve'ad olam. I'll say Tehillim kuf lamed. You can get it on screen. Apologies, the computer's just jumping around a little bit. There we go. שיר המעלות, ממעמקים קראתיך אדוני, אדוני שמעה בקולי, תהיינה אוזניך קשובות לכל תחנוני, אם עוונות תשמור יה, אדוני מי יעמוד, כי עמך סליחה למען תבערי, קיוויתי אדוני כפתה נפשי, ולדברו הוכלתי, נפשי לאדוני משומרים לבוקר, שומרים לבוקר, יחל ישראל אל אדוני, כי אם אדוני החסד והרבה עמו פדות, והוא יפדה את ישראל מכל עוונותיו. We won't say the Avinu Malkeinu now. Say the Mishaberachs as soon as it comes up on screen. Apologies. Bear with me for one moment. We'll first say Mishaberach for Chayalei Tzahal and all those who are in the line of fire. Mishaberach Avoteinu Avraham, Yitzhak v'Yaakov. הוא יברך את חיילי צבא ההגנה לישראל וכוחות הביטחון וכל האזרחים בקו האש העומדים על משמר ארצנו וערי אלוהינו. ייתן אדוני את אויבינו הקמים עלינו נגפים לפניהם. הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמרם מכל צרה וצוקה, מכל נגע ומחלה, וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיהם. ידבר שונאינו תחתיהם ויעטרם בחטא ישועה ועטרת ניצחון, ויקוים בהם הכתוב, כי אדוני אלוהיכם ההולך עמכם, להילחם לכם אויביכם, להושיע אתכם, ונאמר אמן. Mishaberach for the Shvuyim. We are waiting and hoping and praying for their safe return. Mishaberach Avoteinu Avraham, Yitzhak v'Yaakov, Yosef, Moshe, Aaron, David ושלמה. הוא יברך וישמור וינצור את אחינו בית ישראל השבויים בעבור שאנו מתפעלים בעבורם. הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא רחמים עליהם, ישמרם מכל צרה וצוקה, מכל נגע ומחלה, וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיהם. יוציאם מחושך וצל מוות, וישיבם מהרה לחיק משפחותיהם. ונאמר אמן. Say the Mishaberach now for the Ptsuim, those who are wounded, and then we'll say Achen. Mishaberach Avoteinu Avraham, Yitzhak v'Yaakov, Moshe ואהרון, דוד ושלמה. הוא יברך וירפא את כל הפצועים מהפיגועים מהמלחמה. הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא רחמים עליהם, להחלימם ולרפאותם ולהחזיקם ולחיותם, וישלח להם מהרה רפואה שלמה מן השמיים, לכל עבריהם ולכל גדיהם בתוך שאר חולי ישראל, רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף, לשתה בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ונאמר אמן. אחינו כל בית ישראל הנתונים בצרה ובשביה, העומדים בהם ים ובהם ביבשה, המקום ירחם עליהם, ויוצאים מצרה לברכה, מאפלה לאורה ומשעבוד לגאולה, לשתה בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ונאמר אמן. Okay, so that is tefillah, of course, as we are saying every day. I mentioned on Shabbat at Seudah Shlishit, those who are there, just how much, as we go through our davening, it's important not to let this become habit. But I think for many of us, as we go through the words that we say every day and that we've been saying for so many years, all of a sudden take on such new meaning. So many things, words, different brachot in Shmona Esrei, different psukim of Tehillim, things which we thought would never be relevant, and unfortunately have become so relevant. It's important to tap into that and have that kavanah talev, as we daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So when we talk about what can we do in the situations, I think tefillah, as we just said, is so critical. And I was reminded this evening of something which I said a few years ago on Yom Kippur, in my previous keilah. I remember on Yom Kippur during Corona, that at the time, many people were forced to stay at home. Many people were not able to come and daven. And I said something in shul. I said, let us be their shlichei tzibur. There are people that can't come and daven with a minyan right now, and let us daven for them as well. And how much more so now? We have our soldiers, we have our chayalim that are out in the front lines. We have those people who cannot go, are unable to leave their bomb shelters or to go anywhere and to come to shul. Let us have in mind, of course, to daven for all of them. Compiled the list.
No, it's the time.
All the chayalim with whom we have a personal connection in our keilah. Let's think about them and think how we daven on their behalf. And Bezrat Hashem, that should give them an extra shmirah. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu should hear those tefillot, should bring them all back home safe. That is one thing, and that is an immediate and constant thing that we can all do. That is tefillah. Beyond that, you'll all have received an email today with a few initiatives that the shul is pushing. Again, there are so many things that we can do, but we wanted to focus on 2 or 3 just to give people an idea. Of course, if you want to contribute in other ways, that is always welcome. But one is, if those who want to donate, Rav Rimon is running a campaign, and we know that all the money that is going directly to the soldiers and to their needs. He was originally focusing on vests, on ceramic vests, which have been donated to many of the chayalim. I wanted to share with you a video of Rav Rimon giving an update, but it doesn't seem like it's going to work so well now. Maybe we'll send it out on the WhatsApp for people to see. But they're continuing to work on other things. He said they're sending drones. The Chayalim are in some of the areas where there may still be terrorist hidings. They're using drones to locate them rather than put our soldiers in danger. The money is going towards that as well. Many different needs and critical things that are going to the Chayalim. The details you have there in the email. Another campaign which is being spearheaded by Mizrahi is a letter writing campaign. And this was originally done for school children, but it was so successful, they've expanded it. You can write letters, you can send in videos, you can send in photos. You can do it yourself, you can do it with your children, your grandchildren, great-grandchildren, however you wish. Again, the details are there in the email. And those letters, we know, will go to the soldiers on the front lines, and we know how much it means to them. There was a picture of a tank that has been covered up with all these letters and all these pictures which the soldiers have received. It means so much, it increases morale, it really raises the spirits, and it does make a difference. So if I can ask people just to mute themselves at the moment. And finally, one more thing I want to say in terms of what we can do. Let's think back to Rosh Hashanah. Those of you who are in Hanasi on Rosh Hashanah, we spoke about taking on for this year, thinking of one person in our community, one person who we haven't necessarily thought about, and to think about, to reach out, to make a call, to see how they're doing. As much as certainly the soldiers need our support, the people that are in the south need our support. There are many people from the south that have now been evacuated to Yerushalayim. They also need our support. But we all need each other. We all need our own support, and it's important not to forget anybody. We may not be on the front lines, but we all have relatives. We all have people that we're worried about. We all have our concerns, people that are by themselves, people that we have. Our strength is in a community. Our strength is here to be for one another. So pick up the phone, call each other, see how we are. Join. That's why we're joining together on the Zoom call. That is also something that makes such a difference and is so important, and is another way that we can contribute, and B'ezrat Hashem help to contribute to the success of Am Yisrael. So those are some things that we're doing. If people have other ideas, there are many other initiatives going on. If you want to share, if you want to suggest, feel free to do so. Let me now share with you just some brief words and an idea which I saw and I think is very, very pertinent and can maybe give us a bit of strength at this time. When we say brachot, when we hear somebody else say a bracha, we all know that we answer Amen. In the Beit HaMikdash, they didn't say Amen. They said something else. It's very interesting. The Mishnah, towards the end of brachot, tells us that at the end of the brachot in the Mikdash, they would not say Amen, but they would say something else. They would say, Hayu omrim min ha'olam v'ad ha'olam. What does that mean, min ha'olam v'ad ha'olam? From olam literally means the world, but in this case, it would be translated, I suppose, as from eternity until eternity. Min ha'olam v'ad ha'olam. Rav Soloveitchik explains that when you would say a bracha, we say Baruch Ata Hashem Melech HaOlam. What does that mean, Melech HaOlam? So they would say straight away that Melech HaOlam does not just mean King of the world, but the commentary is, the explanation is, Min HaOlam v'ad HaOlam, meaning from the world, from eternity, going all the way back in the past, Ad HaOlam, going all the way to the future. In other words, we don't just live in this moment. We live, Rav Soloveitchik wrote many times and explains in many places, that for a Jew, there is no past tense, future tense, etc. It's all one. It all merges together. We are connected from the past through to the future, through everything. The way he puts it, he says, not a small world of the present, this moment, but of a great unending future, a world leading to the vision of the end of days. In other words, there's a recognition, and we have to zoom out. There's a recognition that where we are, and we have a certain clarity that we are on a journey. It's not just about the here and the now. The Beit HaMikdash was the place where, of course, this could be recognized in greater detail than anywhere else. But we think about our lives, our personal lives, our collective lives. We look at what we're going through now. And if we focus just on the here and now, it is so difficult. But we need to understand that this is part of a bigger picture, and this is part of a greater journey. And there's a beautiful Gemara at the beginning of Masechet Brachot. The Gemara is, again, somewhat cryptic, tells a story of Rabbi Yossi. The Gemara says, I'm going to put it on screen. Let me see if I can maybe put it on screen for you, and we can read it together. One moment. Okay. Here we go. So hopefully you can see my screen. You can see the Gemara, Masechet Brachot, Daf Gimel Amud Aleph, and it says as follows. It says Tanya, Amar Rabbi Yossi, Pam achat hayiti me'alech baderech, v'nichnasti lechuva achat mechuvot Yerushalayim lehitpalel. So Rabbi Yossi says, once I was walking along the way, and I entered into a churva, into a ruin, one of the ruins of Yerushalayim. There are those who say, actually, Bet Knesset Churva in the old city in Yerushalayim. There are those who say that this is where the story took place. Maybe not. But he went into a ruin to daven. And who came to see him? Lo and behold, none other than Eliyahu Navi. He says, Ba Eliyahu zachor latov v'shamar li ala petach. In other words, v'imtin Eliyahu came and he stood at the entrance to the churva and he waited. He waited for me until I finished the daf. After I'd finished davening, he came, he said hello, he spoke to me. And he said to me, Bni, he said, why did you go into the churva? Why did you go into the ruins? I said to him, said Rabbi Yossi, I went into daven. Okay. Eliyahu Navi rebukes Rabbi Yossi. He says, you shouldn't have gone in. You shouldn't have gone into the churva, into the ruin. You should have davened on the way, on the journey, on the road. So Amalti lo mityareh hayiti shema yafsiku b'yovrei drachim, says Rabbi Yossi. Yeah, that's not for our purpose, not so much for our discussion now. But he says, I was worried that there would be people on the way who would stop me, who would interrupt me. So says Eliyahu, you should have davened a short davening. Okay, and the Gemara comes to a certain halachic conclusion that it comes to, learns three things in terms of tfilat haderech and how to daven on the road, etc. But again, if we zoom out and we try to understand this Gemara, what is going on here? What is the argument between Rabbi Yossi and Eliyahu Navi that we stop, we daven on the road, we daven in the churva, we daven in the ruins? What is it? And the explanation that I heard goes like this. We have to understand this is not just to be taken literally. This represents something far, far deeper. And what it represents is Rabbi Yossi is saying, Eliyahu Navi is telling Rabbi Yossi, you are on a journey. Jewish life, the history of the world is a journey. It's min ha'olam ve'ad ha'olam. It didn't begin yesterday. It doesn't end today or tomorrow. It's a continuous path. It's a long journey. It has ups and downs. There are times when things are very, very bright. And there are times when things are very, very dark. But you have to remember you're on a journey. You have to remember where it's going. And you have to remember what the ultimate destination is. Says Eliyahu, Rabbi Yossi, you stopped in the here and now. You stopped. You went into the ruins. Everything you see around you, you see ruins. You see chaos. You see destruction. You're so fixated on now, on this moment. You're making a mistake. Of course, there's what to see. Of course, there's what to be. Take into account, and there is pain and there is grief that has to be expressed. And we certainly want to validate that, but we cannot just look there and now. Says Eliyahu to Rabbi Yossi, go into the churva, but come out and go back onto the journey, go back onto the road, and remember where it's leading to and what this is. There is a much bigger story, and I think that is something. We'll see the second part of the Gemara in just a moment. But I think that is something that can give us tremendous comfort in these dark days. And these are dark days. Again, I think we have all experienced maybe one of the most difficult weeks of our lives. Certainly the most difficult week of our national life. There is so much pain. There is so much suffering. There is so much darkness. That is in the churva. That is in the ruins. But let us not forget where we are on the journey. The fact, as I've spoken already a number of times, but the fact that this is something, for all of Jewish history, this is something that took place. But for most of Jewish history, we would have seen the events that happened last week, and that's where it ends. Today, we're fighting back. We have our army. We have the opportunity to go back and to fight back and to defeat our enemies and stop this from happening again. That is something that, and of course, that carries risk, that carries danger. We're all incredibly worried for those whom we know and for everybody who is out there fighting on the front lines. But let's not lose perspective and let's not lose sight of where we are in the grand scheme and where we are on that journey. What's amazing is that the continuation of the Gemara, it says further. It says, so Eliyahu says to Rabbi Yossi, he says, so when you went into that ruin, what did you see? What did you hear? I won't share the screen now, but I'll read it to you and listen to what he says. This is amazing. He says, Amali B'ni, Makol Shamata B'chuvazo. Says, what is the voice that you heard in those ruins? V'amalti lo. Says Rabbi Yossi, this is what I heard. Shamati Batko. I heard a voice. I heard a heavenly voice, Shemenahemet Kayona, that is cooing, that is crying like a bird. And it says the following. I heard the voice of God, as it were. And it says, Oy lebanim shebavonetehem echlafti et beiti v'tzlafti et eichali v'gleitim levein haomot. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is crying over the fact that the Jewish people were in exile, crying over the fact that the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, crying over the fact that the father had to do this to his children. In other words, we ask, and people, it's natural for people to ask, and I've heard people ask in these days, in the face of such suffering, and the face of such pain, where is God? And the answer is, God is here with us, and he too is crying. He too is with us. We cannot answer why these things happen, why certain people have to suffer more than others, why it seems in the short term that evil is able to vanquish good in a certain way. But what we know is, we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with us. He is with us in the pain. He is with us throughout that. And that is something, again, that can give us comfort. And that is something that can give us strength. So we try and look at the bigger picture. We try to look to see ultimately where this is going. And Bezrat Hashem, our soldiers will be victorious. Our enemies will be vanquished. We will have a true calm and a true peace, a real, genuine, lasting calm and peace and safety and security in our homeland. And this will all come to a swift conclusion in the proper way as Hashem sees fit. So we continue to daven for the welfare of all our soldiers, of all our brothers and sisters, those who are fighting and those who are under attack. And as I said on Shabbat, say the pasuk which resonates so loud in our ears now. Hashem oz le'amo yiten, Hashem yevarech et amo b'shalom.
Amen.
So that is more or less what I wanted to share with you for this evening. As I said, in future weeks, we'll be doing this every week just to get together, just to be strengthened by each other's presence. We'll continue to daven. We'll continue to share words of inspiration as we can. Like I said, we'll be bringing other people on. Maybe we'll hear from some soldiers, if they're able to, maybe from other people who can benefit us. At this point, if anybody wants to share anything, if anybody wants to unmute themselves and just talk about their feelings, or